Hello guys, this is Barry here. I'm just starting up a new video here for showing you what we're working on with our Strasburg Model Railroad Club projects. At the moment I'm going to be discussing using Tam Valley Depot servo control products to replace all of the old Pico twin coil switch machines and push buttons on our front panels. And this will also enable us to have full DCC control of all our turnouts. So my plans down the road include to have panels in JRMI Panel Pro and be able to sit there with a tablet and dispatch trains for my buddies to run. So we'll see how that goes down the road. But for now, I wanted to just give you a quick intro to the Tam Valley products, and then I have to start assembling some boards. So I'll be adding some video into this to show you how to solder together the fascia controllers and such, and how to mount the servos on the layout and wire it all together. Alright, so let's get rolling. Hey guys, Barry back here. So I'm going to introduce you now to all of the parts and components of the Tam Valley servo system here. So this here is the quad control board. They're about $38. You get them a little cheaper if you buy them in quantity. So it's less than $10 a turnout for the DCC control portion of it. You have the output pins here go to one of these, which is a relay daughter board, so you can control up to 4 relays like the 4 servos here. So that just plugs right onto the board there. You have inputs here that come in from toggle switches in the front panel if you so desire, or here these 4 ports are for the fascia controller kits that Tam Valley sells here. It's a little board, micro switch, and 2 LEDs. You can get them assembled, but I buy them like this because they end up being like $2 a piece. Just comes with the board and the parts. You just solder a few parts on, you're ready to go. Okay, and then this piece here is the relay board itself. It's got a little 2 amp double pole double throw relay, so that just plugs right onto the little daughter board there, and then you run your wires into the terminal block, and you can use this for frog polarity switching, signal light control, whatever you want. We use it for line side signals because the Strasburg Railroad actually uses their line side signals to indicate turnout position to the engineer, so in case it's foul or clear or thrown. So next piece of the puzzle here is the little laser cut wood brackets, and these are like $4 a piece to come in a 2-pack, so it's $8 for the 2-pack. And here's the little 9-gram micro servos. I buy these off of eBay for $3-4 a piece. It's a lot cheaper than buying them other places, especially RC hobby shops. And then what we do for mounting it, because we use foam scenery, I use a piece of masonite like this, and I use the foam tape that comes with the laser cut bracket to put it on here, and then I mark and drill the holes for the screws, and then I take it over the layout and line it up with the servo attached and glue it in place with adhesive caulk. And once it dries overnight, I go back and put the screws in to make sure the bracket stays on the board, and then run all the wiring, and it's ready to go. So it's a fairly straightforward process. I'm going to start with the next segment of the video here will be to assemble one of the fascia control boards and everything. So eventually then I will go on to mounting the servo in the bracket, and then taking the whole thing and put it inside the layout. So hopefully everybody enjoys this. We'll come up with the next segment shortly. Hey guys, just me back again. So now we're going to start to assemble the little fascia control board. So we start with the LEDs. You take the long wire on the LED, goes into the round solder pad here. So put them in from the top like this. And then I want to clamp them in my solder tweezers here so I have something to hold it. Make sure it's lined up as good as I can make it there. Get the solder iron out. A little bit of solder on the tip there. Okay. There we go. One LED soldered. Make sure she's nice and lined up. Yep, she looks good. So let's take our next LED. Again, long leg goes into round pad. There again, we want to line it up. Try and make it as straight as possible. Grab our iron, little solder. Alright, there we go. We got two LEDs soldered now. So the next step is to mount our micro switch. So it doesn't matter which position that goes in here, so we slide that in from the top. And what I'll do is I'll clamp that like this on the switch itself. And maybe that won't work. There we go. Because the alignment's not totally critical, but you know, these go through holes in your panel, so you want to try and line up as good as possible. And a little solder there. Little solder there. Alright, there we go. Micro switch. Okay, now the last part, actually, we can clip these leads off now. What we'll do is just, you want to clip them up above the solder so you don't damage the solder joint. It's what they call the meniscus of the solder joint. Okay, now the actual connector that the wiring ties into mounts from behind like this on the back side of the board. So let's see if we can make that line up nice for us. Yeah, these soldering tweezers, guys, are invaluable for doing this kind of work. There we go. That's good. Get out a trusty iron. A little solder on our tip. One pin. 2 pins. And 3 pins. There we go, all soldered together. So there you have it, guys. One Tam Valley fascia controller ready to go. Now the connector here, there's a servo extension harness that plugs into that. It goes into the wiring, runs back to the control board. And simple, one push, LEDs toggle, the route changes. And it works really nice. It's nice and simple to use. So it won't even hurt if you hold the button down. It won't burn anything out. So, alright, next segment we'll be back with mounting the servo in the woodcut bracket. Be back in a second. Hey guys, now we're going to come up to assembling the servo into the mounting bracket. So we have all of our parts here: bracket, servo, mounting screws, servo hornet, screw, and little rubber grommets. So the little rubber grommets have a flat spot that goes up against the body of the servo, and it just fits in from underneath the bottom of the servo. Let's press it into place. Sometimes they don't cooperate though. There we go, got that one. There we go, a little snap. Now when the servo goes into the bracket, there's a hole right here for the control wire to go. So you want to make sure the shaft of the servo lines up with that hole. So you just set the servo in there like such, because as you notice it doesn't fit under. It's designed to sit on top of that bracket there. So then you just take your screws, alright, and then the servo horn will go on top here, and then the wire will come down. So I'll have to show you basically how the wire is going to bend. It's a little difficult to bend. So guys, now we're going to have to install our servo wire. So wire's got to come up under the horn like this through the first hole, bend over, down again, and have a little extension so you can wrap it back. So I'm going to take about 5/8 of an inch or so and just bend the wire at a 90-degree angle. It is a little stiff, so sometimes you need a good heavy pair of pliers to bend it with, because it is heavy gauge piano wire. Okay, there we go. So it's going to look like that, a little 90-degree bend in it. Then what you want to do is put that through the horn this way from the top. Okay. And then I usually go back third or fourth hole, so you got a note on the wire where the hole is here, back here, so you can bend it down again. So usually I grab it like with my pliers right by the hole, so I know where. There we go, it's right about there. So I can take that off, just take the pliers and then bend the wire down. Alright, needs a little bit extra bending yet, so get the big pliers out. There we go. So now we'll fit that through a horn from above, and then use the needle nose here to tweak the end into the hole you want it in, and then press it all the way in. So now we have it in here like this. Then we just got to bend this tab over, or a little tag on the end over, and what that does is lock the wire into the servo horn. So can be a little tricky at times. So let me get back to this. There we go. Now she's bending. So here we go, guys. I got it bent straight. Took a little more than I thought, but you want to see it comes down, wraps under, and comes out and over. That locks the wire in here so it doesn't come out. And then you just set it on your servo here on top. And as you can see, the wire's out in front of the servo, so we got to make a little jog back and down. So just roughly mark it where you want it with your hand or the pliers. Right about there, I'd say. And just give it a little 45-degree bend or so. And then I line it up, take an eyeball guess about where I have to make the reverse bend, so about there, and then I reverse bend it. It's all trial and error, and there we go. There's our wire. So now we put her down through the hole in the bracket and line it up on the servo here to make sure everything looks fairly good, in case you need to make any adjustments. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. So, and then you just put your little screw on the top and lock her in, and then you're ready to get mounted under your layout. So I'll be back with that next. Alright guys, so now we're going to mount our bracket and servo on our piece of masonite here. Mind you, this is a step we're taking because of using the foam scenery base. If you actually have plywood roadbed, you won't need to do this. You can just, you know, go right here and drill your mounting holes and mount this straight under. So I take one of the little foam tape squares here and just peel it off, and just put it roughly in the center there. They're a little bit big, so I'll take the excess and just trim it off with my X-Acto blade. And then you can peel a little liner off, which is always the fun part. There we go. Then we want to center it on our masonite, and we got to make sure that we got the holes far enough in from the edge yet we don't interfere with our wire. So then I just make sure I get just a little clearance there, and then just press it down firmly. And then now it's mounted on there. Now the next step we'll take is to drill out these holes, so after this is glued to the layout and you know, it's all dry, we can go ahead and put our screws in. So let's drill out some holes here. Alright, got one. Okay, they're done. Now what I'll do is I'll take the screwdriver and I'll run the screws in just so that you know, the holes are already threaded once it's under the layout. It won't take as much effort to mount it there. There we go. I'll just back that one out. And we just rinse and repeat for the other side. There we go. So now our bracket's all ready for us to go over to the layout and mount it. So that'll be our next step. Alright guys, now it's time to mount our turnout here. Control anyway. So what I need to do is go under the layout, slide the wire up through the hole in the turnout. And this one's on a slight angle, so normally you might run it like this, but you have to line it up with the angle of your turnout so it throws properly. Then just line it up that way. And what I do is I hold it in place and take a marker pen and just kiss a little black mark on the wire so I can clip the wire before mounting, because these wires are pretty stiff. So let me get a pair of wire cutters and I will cut this, and then we'll show you how to glue it in place.